Good morning, good midday. We got a little bit later start today, and excuse me while I trudge through some mud here. Frankly, we weren't 100% sure if we were going to be heading out today, but Alana and I already have cabin fever. For you guys, we're in the future a bit by a few weeks. We're back from Las Vegas now, and we've returned to full chaos with quarantines and self-quarantines and everybody trying to keep all of America healthy. And that's great. We want to as well, but we just can't sit in the house. So what we did is we wanted to come down towards Hocking Hills area back in Ohio, but not hit the main state park itself, and that's because it gets really busy, and I know there's a bunch of people not listening to this quarantine piece and keeping their social distancing and all that. We're trying to balance that, so what we decided to do instead was do some waterfall hunting, and we're going to do that in the horse camp, horse riding area. Now, no one was here, no one was in the parking lot, and that's good. The trails here are actually dual use. A little woodpecker action. The trails here are dual use, however, it doesn't do you a lot of good because there's not really parking set up for day use hikers. Without another vehicle on the premises, I went ahead and parked there. I wish that wasn't the case, but I think it's going to be a great day, other than a little bit of wind, for waterfall hunting. We've had tremendous rains, very cloudy today, which allowed us to have a little bit of sleeping in and a later start, and should help with some slightly longer exposures. And yeah, I don't know, water's flowing. We're following this little stream next to us here. Hopefully we'll find something, and if not, we're finally away from the boob tube at home and enjoying nature even in these kind of crazy circumstances. So follow along, hopefully we'll find something. All right, well, here is the first little stop I made to get my camera out. My camera is right there, and then if you can sort of see behind me, it's not really a waterfall. It's more of a cascade and a little S-bend. We were following along this stream, and we came up to this little spot. And anyway, I stopped for a photo. It's a little bit challenging from where I'm at. I ended up having to do a few little tricks. Let me turn this way so the water's not so loud. I ended up having to do, for the foreground, there's just enough sky poking through the trees that I grabbed two exposures, one for the highlights, one for the shadows. I don't know if I'm going to need both of those, but then I do believe I'm going to need a focus stack because I kept my 16 to 35 at f11, so it's a little more sharp. And also, if I went any smaller on the aperture, it was causing my shutter time to be way too long for the waterfalls. They were getting vastly too mushy. Even at f11, it's just a little bit long, and but I didn't want to take too many more. Anyway, I think you know where I'm going with that. And if you don't, ask me a question in the comments. I'll try my best to answer. But for now, we're going to try to hike up out of here and more upstream, because the topology map says there's a better fall one up there. So let's go find it. All right, well, here we are at the end of this hollow, so it's going to be time for us now to figure out how to get back, and we're going to kind of keep making our way right on this main hollow run. I have been here before, but there's some new trees down and things like that that makes it a little bit different. It's always interesting to me how here in the Hocking Hills area, how much water it takes for some of these seasonal falls to stay flowing. We're literally presently under flood advisories and flood warnings due to the amount of rain that we have had over the past 3 days. And these falls are now just about done. You can sort of, maybe you can see from this camera or not, but you can see where the rocks have been cleaned off of leaves and debris, and that's because of the amount of water that was moving through here. But you almost have to be in the woods while it's raining to capture some of these falls with a good amount of flow. I still like the shapes here, so I've taken two compositions. One sort of a vertical, probably made for Instagram, just framing that small tree off in the background back there between the other two that are living, and looking at this S curve as it comes forward. And another that's in landscape mode, and I've used this log here in front of me as a front foreground element. I sort of like it because it's broken and it works a little bit as a frame, but I'm also concerned about it. Typically I try to avoid horizontal foreground elements because they feel like a barrier and it's hard to get further back into the image. So we'll see once I get it back home and get edited how I feel about that. Anyway, I will show you those two images now, and I'm going to explore a little further up in there, and I will back those up with any other images that I take on in there. Here they come. How you doing?
Peachy.
Peachy. Purdy, purdy. All right, well, I ultimately worked up enough enough courage or gonads to kind of scurry my way around these falls and then down along this somewhat steep bank enough to take a photo over here. When I was over there, I thought for sure this was going to be the better place to take a photo. Then when I was over here, I think the better place is down there, and I'm not sure I see a good way to get down there, and I'm not really in love with this side, so I did take a photo anyway. I will share it. I'll share also, I think this is actually the only composition I took over here. I can't remember. Maybe I'm getting too old. But anyway, I'll show you whatever photos I took of these lovely falls. And I think we are going to carefully get our way back down and out of this hollow behind me, and either head on to the next one or back onto the car. I'm not sure which we're going to do this yet. Alana's hiding somewhere up over that rock doing her own game. So anyway, really cool little hike, really cool place to visit. Again, this is my second time here, Alana's first, but yeah, not really feeling it, at least right now. Hopefully I will be enamored with whatever I captured when I get back to my PC later this evening. Anyway, I'm rambling. Back on the trail. All right, well, we have decided to go ahead and head back to the car, and the reason that we have decided that is because both of us have our muck boots so we can handle the water, but what we did fail to bring are the little spiky things that straps to our muck boots to give us some traction. And there's a couple spots on this slick rock, with it being this time of year. It's really slimy and nasty, and it's just super slick. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But before I do that, let me follow up on a few new purchases that I've made and where I stand with them. The first is that 28 to 300 millimeter Nikon f3.5 to f5.6. It is actually going to be packaged and returned back to B&H Photo as dissatisfaction. The reason I'm not happy with it is it just doesn't have really any sharpness until you get past about 30 to 40 millimeters, and then the sharpness is decent enough that it would be okay, but it dies back off at 135 millimeters, and that means it's really useless. I actually would rather use my 24 to 70 Tamron f2.8 and crop it in and post afterwards, because it's just not living up to it. So it would have been nice to cover that big range basically in one lens, but it's not working. So that guy's going back. And the other purchase was the three-legged thing Billy as a new hiking and packing and travel tripod. I've been pretty happy with it. I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars for me. The biggest problem has been the height. I really do miss my other tripod, both in stability, but in height that it can get to, especially without the center column coming up. I don't like that. Those center columns, they end up getting really pretty unstable, and I have to use it a lot to kind of get the elevation that I would like to have at you know, sort of standing height. I'm keeping it. I like it a lot. I'm going to get some of the 3-inch spiky feet for it. I don't like the rubber ones that it came with too much, and I do have to contact three-legged thing because I have a problem with one of the legs. One of the legs on occasion on the largest tube, when I loosen it up, I go to pull it out, it's really kind of stuck. And on the trail here today, I was like, what is going on? I finally took the nut all the way off and slid it out, and the little there's like a Teflon or plastic little sleeve that goes on it to make it slide up and down easy. It's chipped, and I think it's expanded a little bit, and sometimes it gets stuck going up and down out of the tube. So I have confidence that that'll get resolved pretty easily. And anyway, beyond that, I'll share any other photos that I've taken today that I haven't thus far, or any up and out. This is a very steep, muddy, and slick hike out, so I'm going to wrap this up now. Do me a favor. Not only give me that like, some of you are good about that, some of you aren't, you know who you are. Give me the subscribe if you haven't yet, come on. And one more thing, having trouble growing, share this video, share my channel. If you've liked it, enjoyed it, you think someone else might, please do so. I'd greatly appreciate it. Keep yourself safe, stay quarantined. Good luck, see you next week.